Hello everyone, welcome back to the Kuchi-e Gallery YouTube channel. This is package opening video number 18. Today I'm going to be opening these 5 packages right here. They could have 5 or 6 or 7 pieces of stuff, prints enclosed. I'm not sure how many there is in this one. There's clearly these little boxes here, but I don't know what they're here, what's inside each one. There could be multiple prints, there could be multiple books. We have this little envelope which has I think 2 pieces. And then these feel like they have books. So I'm going to start with this package here because it's already opened. So let's do this one first, and we'll start from there. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks to those of you who subscribed. I now have 83 subscribers, which is awesome. I'm trying to get up to 100 by the end of this year, hopefully. But if you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate that. No idea what this is. Let me open this up and we will take a look. Okay, yeah, I do know. Remember this print. Sorry, hang on just a sec while I take it out of here. Okay, I do remember this print. Let me pull it out of this little book here. There's a very uneven cut on this one side. Okay, we have a print here by the fantabulous artist Mizuno Toshikata, or Toshikata Mizuno, depending how you prefer to say it. I say Toshikata Mizuno normally. Okay, Toshikata Mizuno. This is a great piece. It depicts a couple. You have a guy here in the window sort of looking at this beauty who's combing her hair. And it is a lovely design. It's very well designed. It reminds me a lot of a print we recently looked at where the woman was wearing a similar outfit and she had these, I guess they're like pond fronds, palm fronds? No, pond, like, you know, like miniature pond. It was like a swampy looking setting and it had like some sort of leaves that grow straight up out of ponds. I don't know what you call those. It's not palm fronds. That's a totally different thing. But anyway, it just reminds me of a similar styling. You know, the background is sort of the same. The woman is very bright and beautiful and stylish. In this instance, she is combing out her beautiful hair. So we have a gentleman who's clearly relaxed, looking out the window. He's got a cigar or a cigarette or something in his hand here, and he's just sort of looking at the beauty who's looking back. It's a lovely scene, very well designed, and we have, you know, it's basically a societal, like, social setting. Like, you have a woman combing her hair and a gentleman in the window. I mean, how much more common of a setting can you get than that? That's really just, yeah, that's an amazingly beautiful setting. Here we have a pail of water, which I'm not sure if she would use that as some sort of a mirror or if they had mirrors at this point. I don't know, but she had some water maybe to help her comb out her hair. And then we have this addition of these 2 trees here. They look like maple trees based on the leaves, but I'm not sure. But we have these 2 trees here cutting up the center, not the center, sorry, to the right side of the center here. But we have these 2 trees trunks kind of pulling up right through the middle of the print. Now, some people may think it's not a great device. I actually really like it because it adds some extra color to the middle of the page. And the guy who's in the window is just like in the middle. So it clearly doesn't interrupt the line of sight. And it just looks fine. Like, I really enjoy that he added these. It's not common for these artists to do this, but I do like this one. Typically the foliage will be in the back or it'll be kind of along the edge. I like that Toshikata Mizuno rather chose to put the trees kind of coming right through the middle of the print. In any event, I will zoom in a little bit so we can talk about the gentleman first. So let's zoom in and give a little talk about him. So we have a gentleman here wearing a brown kimono, and he has a short Western style haircut. So this automatically tells us this is probably a Kuchi-e print, definitely a print made during the later period of the Meiji period. And because this is a very common haircut for prints around that period. Kuchi-e generally had various types of haircuts. You could have the kind that give a nod back towards the ukiyo-e or the Edo period, and you could have some that will be short like this one. In any event, we have a gentleman here leaning casually against the window, chit-chatting with the woman who's on the ground over here. There's not much else to talk about the man, other than to say it's just really well done. Mizuno Toshikata does a great deal of detailing in his prints, so the eyebrows are nicely detailed. The pose is very natural looking. I think it's excellent, actually. I think he did a great job with this print. It's nicely designed. We have a house here, so he's Let me zoom out a little. So he's kind of peeking out the window of this house here. And then we go over to the beauty, and I will zoom in a little bit on her. I don't want to cut too much of her off. Okay, so here we have the beauty in this scene, and it's really lovely. I love what he did with the hair here. It's not very common during this period or really many other periods. Maybe there's more of this going on, I guess, in Shinhanga style prints, but even then, not really. This long hair look is very uncommon in woodblocks. I happen to really love it when it's done right. This is about perfect. I absolutely love this. Let me zoom in a little more here. I absolutely love this print. I think that Toshikata did a really great design. And I think that the way he's done it is he's done this kind of matte black here, and then he kind of, did some line work here and a little bit of bokashi down here, which is the fading shading of the fading shading, I guess you'll say. But this fading shading look right here, and it just looks perfect. I love this. I think he mastered this. The combination of the printers, who did a fantastic job, combined with this, this beauty's hair and what Toshikata chose to do as his design. Fantastic. I love it. I think he did a great job. Now, the beauty looks very natural. She's got a relaxed expression on her face. She's got one hair holding back, and the other hair is here with the bone, piece of piece of bone or a piece of, like usually it was a bone, probably a bone comb, probably made out of the same thing as pointers made out of, actually. But anyway, she's got some kind of a hairbrush here or hair comb. She's combing out her hair. She's wearing a beautiful blue and white kimono with this lovely red, sort of like sash or basically it's like a tie of some sort. So she's sort of using this tie here to tie up her kimono, probably. Although I'm not sure. It probably has a purpose that I don't understand. I'm not sure everything about the parts of the kimono, but I do know that when women were doing things, that there were often times when they would use like a cord or a sash to tie up parts of the kimono so they wouldn't get in their way while they were doing things like chores, or in this case, maybe doing bathroom duties. Maybe she wanted to tie her kimono parts back so they wouldn't drip into the water pan down here. I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but I'm sure there is a utilitarian purpose to this red, sash or tie off or whatever they call these. Belt, I guess you could say. In any event, so we have the kimono, which is lovely blue and white. It's a really nice design. I love the way it kind of drapes down right here, where it's kind of falling down. And then we have the obi in the center here, which is a really interesting obi. It's a very dark, flat black. And then it has, let me zoom out a little so we're not just focused on that. But we have a flat black. It's actually glossy, which I'll show you in a second. But we have excuse me, I dropped my bone pointer. Give me a moment while I figure out where it went. I'm actually working in a new location. I changed my room around so I could have more constant light. I was having a lot of lighting problems. I don't know if any of you remember that, but I was having some lighting problems in the past. I'm going to try and do away with those in the future by... Sorry, I wanted to stabilize this camera. I'm trying to do away with that by moving my area so there's less sunlight crossing the room. Of course, now it's where I'm at, it's like 8 o'clock at night, so it doesn't really make a difference. But in any event, so here we go. So we have this beautiful kimono, blue and white. It has a little bit of a fade. I'm sure you guys can see that. It's like darker right here, and then it goes a little bit lighter, the blue I'm talking about. So the blue is dark here. It's a little bit lighter here. It gives it a really nice sort of like in and out, like, it just has like a nice flowy feel to it. Like it clearly is part of the design. And I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. I don't know what the white is supposed to represent. But it is lovely. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Here, let's see. Can you guys see the lines here? So there's like lines. All the kimono's lines are here. You can see a good one here. But if you look up close, they're actually all present. So all the kimono's lines, it's outlined. It's not just a blob of blue and white pattern. You can actually see the line work. In any event, one of the things that's really cool is that we have some... Gosh, I can't even tell if you guys can see that. Can you guys see the reflection on the... It's here. Let's see. Can you guys see that at all? There it is there. See the reflection? So this has actually gloss. This black on the obi and the black of this sort of like... I guess this is more like a belt. It's less than an obi. I don't know. But anyway, it's whatever this is, belt or obi or sash. It has like, oh, you can really see it right here. So there's like a glossy pattern here, and it's nice because it has some line work built into it. It's really beautifully done. I don't know if it was necessary in this print. It doesn't really add or take away. I think it's kind of a neutral. I have a neutral opinion about it, but it is okay. I actually think it gives it kind of a one-dimensional feel in person. Even though I think this is a beautiful design, I don't think this was necessary. I think that it was like an expense that they didn't need to add to this print. It's still beautiful without it. It does give a very dark. So the upside of using embellishment, which is this is embellishing. When they embellish this black, it gives it, yes, it makes it ultra dark, and it also makes it shiny. But the dark part is also nice, and the dark part does really nice here. So maybe it was for that purpose. Excuse me while I take a drink. So maybe it was because of that. In any event, let me move on with our description here. So we have a beauty combing her hair. She's got this bucket here. If any of you are familiar with what the bucket was for, you can let me know. I'm not sure. If it was just like so she could wet her hair. Maybe she just got done washing her hair. Maybe for washing her face. I don't know. At this point in time, maybe it was really common in Japan that the women would do this outside. I'm not sure of any of that. That's all something I don't have answers to. Okay, the last thing I would mention about this print on the front. We didn't do. Oh, sorry. Let me do Toshikata's signature here. So here we have Toshikata's signature, and it's very nicely rendered. It's basically, it says Toshikata. And it has a nice two-part seal here at the bottom. Nicely done, very clean. But the one thing I wanted to mention here, which I'm not sure how easy it's going to be for me to show this because my let me see. Can you guys see there's actually, so I'm always talking about blind printing where they do a pattern or a texture that is not part of the artwork. Let me turn this around this way. You guys see that in there? See right here? You can really see it. But there's basically yeah, you can see it really well. But see, there's a pattern right here they've added to these blinds in the window. And this is a great example of when using this blind printing really adds to the piece. Now, sometimes they use it and it's like, I don't know what that does. This one does something really great, though. I really love that they have this on here. And this pattern definitely does something really excellent. Like, I think it definitely... Oh, I just realized my microphone wasn't on. I don't know. I hope this works, guys. I just realized the microphone was not connected. So if it just got very clear, now you know why. In any event, so we had this blind printing in these blinds, which does a really great job here. Sometimes I don't really think it adds much. This one, it does add quite a lot. In the event, that's going to be the end of this print for the front. We'll take a look at the back and the bleed through. Nice, nothing really out, amazing or whatever. It's fine. It doesn't add or take away anything. The back looks fine. I am going to be trimming this side off. In this instance, it doesn't come into the artwork at all. So let's talk about this for a minute. Whether I choose or not to choose to trim prints. I don't really love trimming prints. If I don't have to, I certainly won't. In this instance, I will just cut this off. It doesn't add anything to the print. It doesn't help. So I'm going to have to do a patch right here. See, there's a small tear right here. So I will have to patch this. Now, it's not actually even ripped all the way through, but it is ripped, and it's created a little bit of like a shred here. So rather than, I could cut all the way to here, because the line actually is almost to there, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this off to here. Okay, so I'll trim it off a little bit, let's say west of this margin line right here. And then I will use this leftover paper to back this piece right here. And that way I can use the same paper to fix the patch right here with this little tiny tear. Now, this is a fairly common design. I mean, I'm not going to say it's common. I think I might have one other copy of this. But it is common enough that you could easily find this if you're on the search for it. I think after a year or two searching, you would definitely come across it. And it's just a lovely kind of a common design, but it is beautiful and it's well done. And it was not expensive. I didn't pay a lot for the design, and that's why I have it, because I already have a couple copies of this. But like I'm always saying, because I will open a gallery at some point, this is how it folds right here, so we can easily see how it would have folded into the book. But yeah, because I will open a gallery at some point, because of that, I pick up prints like these that are in excellent condition, where they're not, where it's not too expensive. If I can find something that's in great shape, in this case, it needs a very small amount of trimming. which is basically nothing. I mean, it doesn't even barely needs it. I don't even have to trim it if I don't want to, but it needs the trimming. And so because of the necessity for the trimming, I would say that it's better. It's better that I would get it inexpensively. And I think that this price was fairly low. That it's totally worth it. So yeah, I bought it even though I don't need it, and I didn't have any competition for it, from what I recall. Yeah, and so this is a good example of why I would pick up something inexpensive. It has a little bit of unevenness on the margin, and some people might be shied off from that. Maybe that's why nobody else bid against me for it. I don't know. But what I do know is it wasn't inexpensive, and because it wasn't expensive, I was able to grab it. And I think the other print, by the way, that we're going to open here, from what I recall, I believe these came from the same seller, and I was able to get both of them fairly inexpensively. So yeah, so definitely a really good deal, and I'm very happy about it. I can't even remember what the other print is, but I'm sure I'll remember it when I pull it out in a second. So speaking of that, let's get on to the next print. Enough chitter chatter from me, filling in the time here. Let's do let's do the other loose design, and then we'll go to these books. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, great. Another nice design. Yeah, I know this came from the same seller. I like the way the seller does this, actually. So what this seller does is they put them... okay, I don't love these flimsy covers. I mean, this is this is really not very, helpful. But woodblock prints are a hardy paper. And honestly, I've had these come like this many times. And I'll tell you the truth, they do not get damaged. I don't know if this... Like I said, woodblock prints, and you probably know this if you collect woodblocks, but if you collect woodblocks, they're very hardy. I mean, the paper, when it's in good condition, it's very, very, it's just got a good strength to it, and it's very, it's like, it just can handle a lot of bending and a lot of moving around without really becoming damaged. It's a lovely paper, washi paper, and it does a great job of holding its shape. And so even though it gets a little bit of bending or a little bit of something, it rarely tears. It's not even easy to tear when it's in good condition. This print in my hand right now is actually in fantastic condition. You can see it has a bunch of little creases and some minor stuff along the edge right here, but actually it's not a big deal. I mean, I wish it wasn't here, but it's not a big deal. So we can see, here's a great example. Let me talk about this. So you see this print, which, okay, let me get the front. So this is a print by Toshikata Mizuno, another one, a lovely design. Again, we have a woman talking to a man. There's a little bit of markings here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But let me show you the back here. So I received this print, and it has some clear creasing right along the edge right here, okay? This is totally not a big deal. It's easy for me to fix if I want to do that. So I could just, but you can see how this paper's been bent, and I can just kind of twist it over. I don't have to worry about it breaking off or, easily tearing. It's not going to be an easy to tear thing. These are not easy to tear when they're in good shape. And this washi paper in my hand is actually in really good shape. Let's see. Let's talk about how it folded up first. So it folded like this. So this is how it originally came. And the reason they have creases here is because this is the inside fold. So it would have been inside of a book. And then somebody would be like, oh, let me take a look at this. And they would open it up and be like, wow, it's really beautiful. I love it, or whatever. And then let me zoom out a little bit. And then they would go back to put it back in, and they would fold it up, and they would, do like this, and then they would close the cover, and the cover would actually close along this edge right here, and it would just over time start bending these in. And because, once you've seen a print inside of a book, you probably didn't look at it over and over again unless it was something truly amazing. And while this print is nice, it is not amazing. It's just a nice, a nice example of, again, like a common style scenic, a social scene, a social scene type print, which there's a lot of these in Kuchi-e, because they were meant to go along with the story in a lot of cases. I don't know if they always did, of course, as we all know, they didn't always go along with the story, but in some cases, or many cases, they did. This story was probably a love story about a man and a woman, or about a guy who wouldn't go to work and his wife who liked to pester him. I don't know, but anyway, whatever the story was, it was definitely had a man and a woman in it, and so this is supposed to represent them. Now, this is a lovely design. I actually really like this design. I think it shows a really great depth of artistry because you have a person on the floor laying down, a man on the floor laying down, and then you have a woman talking to him with a screen in between them, like a privacy screen, or maybe they're even talking about the art that's on this screen. Her hand rests here at the top of the screen. Definitely there's a nice play between these two that is used, that the Mizuno Toshikata Mizuno used well to indicate these two again conversing. Just like the last one, you have a guy in a window talking to a woman outside combing her hair. Here we have a guy getting up from sleeping, talking to a woman between a shoji screen, which is actually an art screen in this case, in the sense that it's like an art panel. Excuse me. So you have basically, a social scene, like I said. Now there's a little bit of red here. There's a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit here, and a little bit here. Very minor. You can barely see it. I'm not sure if you guys can even see it that well. But there is a little bit of red here. There's a little bit right here. And there's a little bit right here, but you can't even see it because it's kind of in the obi, so it's not even that visible. And then you can see another little spot right here. None of these... Oh, actually, there's a little couple more down here, too. Now, they probably came because at some point somebody wet this. Now, I don't know. Let's see. Can we see that it's been wet? Not really. No, I can't really see that it's been wet in any way. But I would say that the red in this part right here, that's in this like blanket here, I would say that these look a little bit spread. Like the red probably got wet and then it spread a little bit. So I bet if we bend this, right? So we have one right here. Okay, I bet if we bend some part of her... Oh yeah, see, it's perfectly aligned with her hat. I mean, her hat. It's perfectly aligned with her hairpin right here. So if we take this hairpin right here, okay, and we turn it over, you can see that it lines up exactly with the spot of where the red is. You guys see that? So this is how it was. It probably was just wet when they did it. So it was probably a wet print, and they put it together when the red was still wet, and for whatever reason, it crossed over. Now, I'm not sure about these other areas down here, but to me, this seems commonly what happens. The red from one side transfers to the red on the other. This looks a little bit wet to me, like it was a wet transfer. It does go... Yeah, it does go all the way through on some of these. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway... In any event, we have minor amounts of damage is all I'm saying. Whatever it is, it's a little bit of color transfer. I do not love red color. I've said this over and over again. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there are absolutely beautiful prints with red coloring. And some of them, like I said, I think have gone overboard on how much red there are. But lovely, lovely prints with a lot of red. But the downside is the second that red gets wet, it is basically destroyed. I mean, if it's this kind of red that came from... the aniline dyes, the bright aniline Western dyes that were introduced in 1868 or 78, I can't remember right now. They were introduced, and once they were introduced, they had a depth of red and a vibrancy of red, and it was inexpensive compared to what the Japanese had to go to get red, I'm guessing, in that it was widely used by basically every publisher at that point. So, yeah. Anyway, that red is dangerous, so definitely do your best not to make it wet, because if you get it wet, it will spread, and if it's from aniline dye, which was after, like I said, 1878, I think. Okay, so anyway, we have a man and a woman discussing among themselves. The man is kind of nicely, casually laying down here. He's got like some blankets on top. We have on the side here, it looks like newspapers, so he's been like reading the newspaper. And then we have him conversing with this beauty who's here. Now, she is wearing a lovely kimono. Her hair is up. She looks like she's ready to tackle the day. She's actually about to go out on her business. The man on the floor looks like he's sort of relaxed and chilling out. He doesn't look like he's ready to go to work or ready to get busy with his day. He looks like he's just waking up, and she looks like she's been ready to go for a couple hours. So it could be a story of people who don't, do well because the man doesn't do well, or something along those lines. In any event, we also have this painting here, which basically, in order to make this print work, Toshikata Mizuno basically had to do another painting in the middle right here. The painting is nicely done. It shows like a scene of a sort of like a samurai character, or a somebody from the samurai, and then we have a woman with a child here. Nice tree in the middle. Just a really beautiful design. I think it's an interesting design. You know, it's not like the best design in the world. Like I said, these were both very inexpensive prints. I bought them because of their inexpensiveness and because they're in decent shape. I love this one that it has the full side. Often these folded up prints where they've been bent here, which by the way, I can just put a little bit of water right here and it'll straighten this right out. Um, but again, I have to be very careful because of the red. But in any event, I love this one because it has full margins, which is really rare for Kuchi-e. Firstly, most Kuchi-e don't even have that much white around the edges. But when you find one like this that actually has white going all the way around, it's very interesting to find one that has a complete thing, including all the white margins. So it's just kind of interesting. Usually they're trimmed right here or they become wrinkled and torn over time. These are a bit wrinkly, but you can see just even using this little bone pointer thing, I'm able to practically straighten it out, and I haven't even put any water on it yet. So it would be very easy for me to straighten these out. And I just think it's cool that it has the full margins. Oops, sorry about that. Let's take a look from the back here. You know, nice bleed through. You can see exactly what happened to the red. From the back, it's very obvious that it got wet at some point. So see that right here, a little bit of red. The red looks kind of spread out. That's definitely because it got wet. You can see here also that it's very much so spread out here. Like it's all, yeah. So something got wet. But see, this is the amazing thing about these prints. As you can see, none of the other colors did that. Oh, there's a little bit of smearing here too, but it's very minor. But you can see the black is fine. The brown is fine. The bluish, you know, the light blue is fine. Every other color here has withstood the water that has been placed on this, with the exception of this red, which smeared. This one here doesn't look smeared to me, which is very interesting. It has a kind of an orangey-ish red, but I don't know if they use the same kind of dyes or inks to do this, because this one doesn't seem smeared to me. Very interesting. I don't know why I would do that. So again, from the back, the bleed through is, you know, kind of evident, mostly evident on the black areas. But yeah. Anyway, just a kind of a run-of-the-mill print. Again, these were inexpensive. If these were anything even over $20, I probably wouldn't have bought them, or $25. You know, I bought them because they were inexpensive and because, you know, they are lovely for what they are. They're not expensive, and they're in decent condition. The other print we looked at is actually in excellent condition. This one is in okay condition. I'm going to do what I can to straighten the edges out. I don't think it'll fit in my storage folio. Hang on just one sec. Oh, no, I'm wrong. It actually will fit. Okay, great. So, yeah, but anyway, I'll do my best to straighten these sides out. And, you know, I think it'll be a fine print that one day I can, you know, offer for sale at a very reasonable price. You know, it's just a nice, decent looking print by Mizuno Toshikata. There are a lot of people out there, including my friend Ray, who collect Mizuno Toshikata, the Toshikata Mizuno, sorry, I have these names. When I say them, I always say them the opposite of when I do in my head. But anyway, there are a lot of people who collect individual artists, and they'll want these prints. And so if there's a time when they can't find them, then, you know, they'll say, oh, there's one, and it's reasonably priced. I'll grab that one. Okay, let's move on with our next item. This is a book. I already opened the package. I didn't open the other packages, but this one got opened for whatever reason. Anyway, this is the book. I do recognize the cover. Well, you guys probably can't see that at all. Let me open this real quick. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. For those of you living in Europe, I actually have heard that the weather right now is just crazy hot. We had a weird heat spell. I live in California. We had a weird heat spell here in California that was in February, which is incredibly unusual. And we had some heat temperatures up to almost 90. Matter of fact, I think it was over 90 a couple of days in February. That is really nuts. Excuse me, I want to take a sip of some coffee. So yeah, so the world is heating up. Hopefully we all can enjoy our lives without having to deal with too many issues, but I guess we'll see, right? Okay, moving on. So here we have a book. Now, I do have several other books that have the same cover from this series of books, I guess, and they're all designed the same. Now, I don't know if they changed it based on edition. The other one I have, I think, has a bluish or a greenish cover, and it has the same kind of wave pattern here, which is really lovely, by the way. And then it has this gold leaf lettering down the front here. Let me use my translator here, and let's see what this says. This is pretty clear language. It should be fairly easy to translate. So let's take a look. Although I have noticed that it's very difficult sometimes for it to translate things. It says, 10 Utsumi. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's the word or if the word is 10, like the number 10, or yeah, not sure. Okay, anyway, let's take a look. That's why I don't bother with translating things usually, because the translations are not very good for some things, like titles, names, and so on. Now, the inside cover on this is a lithograph. Now, I'm always talking about lithographs and woodblocks. You can definitely see the difference. Let's see, can you guys see that? Yeah, I'm sure you can. See those little dots right there? That's how you tell when something is a lithograph. It'll have these little tiny dots, just like this right here. So when you see those, you'll know that there's a lithograph rather than a woodblock. I mean, that's one of the ways. There's also lots of other ways. All right, let's see what print we got here. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is a lovely print. Actually, I don't have a copy of this print, which I'm very excited about. Sorry, let me reverse this so I have some way to put this print on this paper so we can take a look at it. Yeah, this is a really, really lovely design that I do not have a copy of. So yeah, super excited about having this print. There we go. Can you guys see that okay? You can. Really lovely. It's from what I recall, it's Tomioka Eisen. It's a print by Tomioka Eisen. Really, really beautiful design. So unlike those other two prints we just looked at, well, the first one was actually really pretty great. The second one was not that great. But that's the cost you pay when you don't see things up close, and you know, it's not in terrible condition. It's just not amazing. This one, however, is in amazing condition. This is the kind of condition I want all my prints to be in, and I'm very excited to have this one in this condition. I'm going to use this little box right here to hold this up while we look at it. There we go. Okay, so here we have a Kuchi-e woodblock print featuring the art of Mizuno. The art of Tomioka Eisen. This is a really lovely design. You have a beauty here, sort of looking or speaking to an egret. I believe it's an egret. And egrets are fairly commonly used in woodblock prints. They probably have a good luck component to them or something like that, which, you know, of course, good luck is always a nice thing to have. So we have a woman here who's looking over out of her bed, and it's probably just a painting or something. You know, if you look at this kind of interestingly, now that I have this white screen here, if we were to scoot this up, it almost looks like it's a room and this is the painting behind her, right? Like, that's pretty cool, actually, what they've done here. Now, I don't know what the story is. It kind of looks like she's on a boat, you know, floating through some swampy area where this egret is. But clearly she's dressed in bedtime. Like, she's in bedtime attire, and she's got a blanket here. So clearly this is not her floating through some landscape with egrets in it. It's clearly like a painting, or it's just another sort of Kuchi-e-esque styling where they have a random thing in the background that's not actually connected but looks connected. And so, yeah, in any event, this is a lovely design. How it relates to this book, I have no idea. Anyone in the comments, if you know, please go ahead and comment. Tell me what you know about this book. So we have a beauty here, really lovely. The hair is lovely. The face is lovely. There's a tiny spot right here, which I can fairly easily remove, I believe. Yeah, so we can see on the back that the spot does not come through here. And I believe I'll be able to remove that spot fairly easily. Which is nice. There are a couple ways to do that. One of the ways I would not recommend for the faint of heart, which is you take a razor blade just like this one, and you take something that lets you see very close, and you just sort of scrape the ink off, and then you can sort of use one of those erasers I'm always talking about, and you can use the eraser to erase what's left. Now, that's one way, or you can just use the eraser and try to take it off. This print happens to be in amazing condition. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can have a better look of the face. So the face is very lovely here. There's a little blush of pink around the eyes, which sometimes can be very much so too much. This one happens to be really nicely done. It's kind of lighter and it shows up a little bit, but not too much. We have a little bit of red on the lips, really nicely done again. The hair is here. It's a little loose, giving us an idea that maybe she did take a nap or something. You know, maybe she's getting into bed. She may not be getting out of bed. Maybe she's getting into bed. We don't actually know, but her hair is a little bit unkempt. You know, it's a little bit loose. We have a couple of hairpins still in her hair, and there's a little bit of looseness kind of coming down. You know, is that bedhead? Is this someone who slept for 8 hours? I don't think so. So I'm thinking she's probably going to bed, actually, but I'm not certain 100%. So here we have a beauty kind of getting into bed. The face is lovely. We do have some teeth here. Again, teeth are fairly uncommon in Kuchi-e, but we have a nice set of chompers here. So she's got her teeth peeking out a little bit. The eyes are really nicely done here. Really beautiful eyes. Very, 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 very tight together. Maybe like she's sleepy and she's going to go to sleep. Really lovely. Just a really good design. I love the face in this one. So that's all. This little black spot, I will check to double check to make sure it's not part of the original, but presuming it's not part of the original, I will remove this black speck. I don't see a lot of other flaws in this print, which is great for me and for, anyone really, whoever's collecting prints. This is what you want. You want to be able to see that these don't have flaws, and this one is pretty flawless. So beautiful print. Let me zoom out a little bit now so we can have the whole picture. I'll zoom in a little bit more than that. There we go. So we have her. She's got a blanket here. Now the blanket has some red, blue, and green with a gray background. Sort of floral with some flowers. Really, really nicely done. We have a blue sort of a sheet here, I'm presuming. And then over here we have the actual background of the actual bed. She has a pillow here, which consists of a sort of a round pillow, and then we have some sort of a cloth on top. I don't know if this is how pillows looked. I'm guessing, but it looks like something you could change out, like you would change the layer on top as it got dirty over a few days or weeks or whatever, and then you would change the top layer out and add another one. You might also add these for height if you wanted your neck to be a certain height while you're sleeping or that kind of thing. I could see that making a difference too. Okay, so we have a beauty here looking at this egret. So it could be a stork. I don't know. It's a stork or an egret. I'm not sure. I think it's an egret based on what I see. You guys tell me what you think, whether it's an egret or a stork. So we have a beauty here. She's wearing a kimono. It's not particularly screaming nighttime kimono because I don't know the difference, but this looks like it's a sash right here, the way it's kind of tied together. So it's not an obi. It's not a formal attire. This is like a belt, basically, like a cloth belt that you would use to tie your robe together. So this probably is a bedtime robe. I'm guessing this is a bedtime kimono. So we have a beautiful kimono, a lovely inner red, which we can see here, 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 and here. And we have a beautiful purple on top. So there's red, 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 and then beautiful purple underneath. We only see this inner purple right here. This is more like a brighter grape purple. And then here we have like a plum purple. So we got a beautiful inner, grape, kind of a brighter purple. And then we have this plum purple pattern here, which has plum, white, and the kind of a dark blue line. And then we go down to the belt, which has like a nice pink colored sort of sash or belt. Really lovely. Her leg comes here and it tucks into the covers. She's pulling the covers up with her hand. Excellent. Really lovely design. Then we have the bird. So we have this interesting background with this gray background, which I think looks really nice, actually. We have this gray background, which has this heron. It could be a heron, too, actually. So either a heron, an egret, or a stork. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably a heron or an egret, but I'm not 100% sure. And then we have this beautiful branch coming down. And then we have this signature here for, I'm pretty sure this is Tomioka Eisen. Let me double check, though, before I make a fool of myself yet again by giving the wrong artist name. I think it's, based on how it looks, I think it's Tomioka Eisen. But let's just see if we can figure it out real quickly before I go any further. Yeah, it's not. There it is right there. Okay, let's see what it is. I'm pretty sure it's Tomioka Eisen. Oh no, nope, I'm wrong. See, good thing I checked. It's Suzuki Kason. So it's Suzuki Kason or Kason Suzuki's print. See, there you go. See, that's why you check sometimes. So there we go. So this is Suzuki Kason. Kason, I think is how they say it. So Suzuki Kason's print. And there you go. Oh, one thing I want to point out real quick about the front before I move on to the next print. Can you guys see that there's a wood grain here? You don't see it too much in Kuchi-e, but it's actually very evident on this one. Can you guys see it right here? There's like some wood pattern. So you have like wood grain going here, but there's a little bit of a knot right here. And you can actually see it. Can you guys see that? And the wood grains kind of swoop around here and here. You don't usually see that unless there's a large color field. And we don't have too many large background color fields in Kuchi-e where you see this too often. This one's really nice here. It has this really lovely not that you can tell there's that there's some wood grain in the back. All right, let's take a look at the background bleed through real quick just to see what we're dealing with. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Really nicely done. I could tell right away that there's high quality of this printing. It's very highly quality printed. It's very well done. And you can also tell that even more from the background. Look at that. It's practically the exact same design. The full design comes through. Now look, there's some pluses and minuses to collecting Kuchi-e prints versus other prints. They did use a thinner version of paper. This is not the same kind of paper that they would use for a Obon size, Toshikata, a Toyokuni third print. The paper is going to be somewhat thicker than this. But, the thinness allows us to really view this bleed through. I mean, look, you can see the entire design on the back. That's really lovely. Such a beautiful design, beautiful print. Now, last thing I want to mention before I move on to the next book or whatever it is this paper here. Now, you can see the acidity of this paper is not doing well. The acidity is causing this discolorations throughout. Now, here's another question again. Wow, do I leave this print in here? Yes, I will leave the print in here because honestly, it's in practically perfect condition still. However, I'm going to be I'll be getting a piece of paper because you can buy this acid-free paper. It's made by HP. You can buy acid-free paper from HP, and I'll just put a piece right here, which is what this paper is, by the way. I'm not just putting standard paper. This is acid-free paper, but it's not even expensive. I mean, it's pH balance neutral. Anyway, you can put it right here. And so these pages, this one here and this one in here, will no longer have the paper of the book, which is clearly acidic. I mean, you can see how brown this paper is becoming. And yeah, see how it's kind of weirdly white in these certain spots? I don't know why, but yeah. But anyway, you just want to cover this up. So I recommend, for those of you who collect Kuchi-e, because this is a very inexpensive way to save yourselves in the future, is to buy yourself some of this paper that's HP neutral, acid-free paper, the standard printer paper, and cut them out and just lay them in here. I'll put one in the front and I'll put one in the back right here, and that'll stop me from having to worry about this paper discoloring. Okay? Anyway, that's what I do. I recommend you do the same. Okay, let's move on to the next design. I'm just going to set this book to the side right now because I don't really have time to put it away, and I don't want to waste your time listening to me stand here and put things together. I know that's not enjoyable. Well, not as enjoyable as hearing me talk about prints, anyway. All right, let's move on to the next design. This one is still sealed. So let me cut this open real quick, and we'll see what we have, see what we're dealing with. I have no idea when I purchased these, sometime in the last year and a half. Okay, I think I remember this print, and I do not, from what I recall, I don't think I have a copy of this print. Okay, let me cut this open. Do any of you recognize this print from just seeing the cover? If you're lucky enough to have a copy of this print with the cover installed, intact, I mean. So many of these books end up with in poor condition just because they're rental shop books, and those rental shops, I don't know what I'm curious to know what the readership was like. Once the Japanese decided they were going to be big readers, wow, this book is done in a weird way. Someone put these, this is just patching. Somebody put these on here, but it actually looks like it goes together somehow. They've done this back part in a way that it looks like something like, oh, what is this? Like, it's like a menu, a recipe, or a ticket on a train, or, it has this kind of like a scrapbook quality, which is kind of cool, actually. Okay, in any event, here we have the cover of this book, and I'm not exactly sure who this is, but we'll see momentarily. And let's go ahead and open it up. Now, this is a string-bound book, so we still have the strings intact, and they're nice and clean, thankfully. Sometimes the strings are shredded or not in good condition. But somebody's done some work patching this with pieces of random paper, which, it's fine. But it is what it is. Yeah, this is exactly the piece I thought it was. Now, this one is, I believe, by Tomioka Eisen. so we went from a Suzuki Kosoun to Tomioka Eisen. This is such a lovely design. And surprisingly, after all my collecting, I have not had this design until now. This is my first copy of this design. I'm not going to say it's completely uncommon. I do think you can find this design in the market. But I've been collecting for 15 years, and this is the first time I'm going to have it in my collection. It is a really lovely design. Clearly, it's a gentleman, sort of in the nighttime. We have a moon here. I mean, it could be the sun, but I don't think it is, even though there's a shadow here. Um, but I'm saying this is a moon, and you have a ghost, so we can see right through the clothing of this woman here, who's all in black. And then we have the gentleman here looking quite startled and surprised to see a ghost in his room. I don't know what the story of this book is, and I don't know how it relates to this, but I've seen this print a few times, and it is just a really, really lovely design. It's very well made, and I think that, let's double check. I'm pretty sure this is Tomioka Eisen, but this time we're going to do this first, so I don't spend a lot of time talking about a print that's not by the right person. But I believe this one is for sure by Tomioka Eisen. But you know what? I'm just gonna do it the right way this time, instead of doing it the other way, which is the wrong way. And I should be able to pretty quickly figure this out. So I apologize for taking this time, but let's do it right rather than doing it the wrong way and talking about a Tomioka Eisen print that actually was not by Tomioka Eisen, and save us all some energy, especially me. Okay. No, this says it's by Kinsen Suzuki, but it's not by Kinsen Suzuki. It's actually by Tomioka Eisen, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check though. It's not Kinsen. That signature is not Kinsen. I'm sure that's Suzuki's signature. Well, sorry to do this now, but this is why you guys get a video coming out quicker without all the editing, because I'm doing a better job now of trying to take a look at these prints in advance. I'll just look at the book. Doing it with the search engine has taken too long. So one of my friends in the past, who was very kind, unfortunately she's passed away, but one of my good friends, Lois Gilder, who was the co-owner of a gallery called Arts and Designs of Japan in San Francisco. She so here we have she made this list for me. Thank you, Lois. Rest in peace. So here we have Eisen Tomioka on page 309. So now I can just go to the Nanako Yamada book, and I'll go to page 309, and I'll know that that's where the Tomioka Eisen section begins. So, yeah, so here we have Tomioka Eisen section starting in 309, which is here, and we'll just, I usually just cruise through real quickly because it's pretty easy to find usually. This is one of his later designs, I believe. Here it is right here. So we know it's Tomioka Eisen because here it is right here. For those of you who are interested in Kuchi-e and don't have this book, I can't recommend it highly enough. There are two versions of this book. They're both written by Nanako Yamada. Here are both copies. Now, some people would say, oh, I'll just get the second edition, rather than getting both, but you really need both. So I recommend anybody who collects Kuchi-e to get both of these, even though they're both called a survey of woodblock prints. It's not like an updated edition of the first one. They really have different prints inside. I mean, some are the same, but there's a lot of editions in this book, but there's a lot of ones left out from the two books. So I recommend you get both. But, it's up to you. They're not cheap. Sometimes you can find them for less than $100, and sometimes they're several $100s each. So, okay. Anyway, moving on with the print. So here we are talking about a print by Tomioka Eisen. And it's a lovely design. It's very, very moody. It's considered, it's supernatural, I guess you would consider a supernatural print, because you have a man very ornately, decked out in some kind of hotel room or fancy room where he lives, and then you have a woman who's a ghost apparition sort of here. You can see through her. We can clearly see the drapes behind her coming right through the clothing. So we know that it's definitely a ghost. And clearly he's looking very surprised and alert as he tries to figure out, what's going on with this ghost in his room. Lovely design, really impactful. The colors are fantastic. It actually reminds me of the kind of quality that we get from some prints by Kajita Hanko. Kajita Hanko uses a lot of these greens in his designs, and I really love them. So I think they've done a great job here with this particular print. So we have a man. Let's look at the woman real quick. She doesn't have a lot of details, unfortunately, but she basically is a woman. She's kind of distraught looking. She's got her hands up to her face. Maybe she's crying or, upset in some fashion. And then she's just wearing a black dress here. Black. She's got her black hair is kind of splayed and it's kind of frayed and looking very disheveled all over. And then the dress comes down, but we can see down at the bottom here that the dress is clearly see-through. Mostly because this is black, but here we have green coming in, and the green is the background of this background drape right here is coming in through the clothing. Really lovely, super well done. So bravo to you, Mr. Tomioka Sen. Really lovely design and very well done. Okay, and then we'll move over to the man. The gentleman here, really lovely also. Just a really beautiful print. He's holding the curtain aside. Now, I can't tell if he's holding it aside because he wants to see, or is he holding it aside because he's trying to peek around it, like hiding a little bit. He definitely looks a little bit scared. I would be terrified if this happened to me. I'm sure it would be terrifying to some of you as well. So, he's probably terrified also. So we have the man peeking around the curtain. Lovely effect of this curtain being pulled. We have a little bit of a light here, so we can presume there's a light around the corner here somewhere. Or is it just a light alerting his alertness? Like, oh my gosh, something weird is going on, and there's some kind of a light around his head right here. I don't know, but it's done very nicely. I'm going to presume there's a lamp around the corner of this thin, gauzy curtain here. So we have a gentleman here. We have this beautiful mirror or painting edge here. Lovely, super well done. These are the kind of details that make a print fantastic, in my opinion. I'm not saying they have to have these type of details. They don't, of course. But having this extra little detail of this little print right here, which really, if you look at it, they had to use kind of a different color to do this. This kind of bluish, grayish color isn't really used anywhere else in this print. Maybe a little bit. I mean, I can't see it anywhere, honestly. I don't know if they just did blue on top of gray or what. But it's really lovely if they've done that, because it tells you they spared no expenses to do this. When you do this kind of extra colors when you don't need to, it tells you, hey, we're going to spend all the money we need to make this print exactly what you want. It is a really lovely print. It's a great design. This one happens to be full margins, full everything. It's a little tiny bit of like edge wear right here, but really minor, nothing major at all. There's also a little tiny bit at the bottom down here, like a little hole, but it's again, very minor. So I'm really happy with this. And I don't think there was any competition on this one, shockingly. I think it was one of those situations where they didn't show the print in the ad. They only showed the cover. And so you had to kind of look into it to see if it was what kind of print you were getting. And a lot of those, they end up being nothing special or nothing at all in a lot of cases. But in this case, I happened to find one that had an actual print. And this print is lovely and it's in great condition. So we have this mattress here. So the male here has got a short haircut. He's clearly a European man or a Western person, from the United States or from Europe. He's got this kind of pajamas or whatever he's wearing have these ties here. They're kind of Chinese looking, actually, or maybe they're Russian. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know the story of this book. If some of you know the story, you can let me know. I will figure it out when I go to research this print. And by the way, because I don't put the details of the prints over here in the corner like I used to do, which granted, it made your lives easier. It made my life very much so not easy. And so I decided just to put the details of each print in the video description at the beginning of the film, the video. So if you want to go to the video homepage for this page, you'll see a section that says description. If you click on that button, it will tell you that, print number 1 is X, print number 2 is, whatever. So all the details will be there when I can find them. Some of these prints, I'm not able to find the details. But when I am, I'll put them there. Okay, Tomioka Sen, we have a gentleman here who's got military kind of bearing. He's got like a mustachio that's pretty awesome. And he's got this lovely pajama. It's kind of like a yellowy beige pajama. He's clearly a wealthy person. I mean, you got this lovely, like top, sort of like a comfort, like there's an extra layer. So he's got how many layers of bedding? So we got this base right here. Then we got this blue bed here, the mattress. Then we've got a large pillow here. And then we got another mattress. And then we've got a smaller, even more small mattress. And then we have lovely blankets and sheets. This is a very, very high level, whoever it is. They had a good amount of funding to be able to live like this. Really lovely bed. We have a bed with a lovely leg here. Clearly, Western style. Down here at the bottom, we have a pitcher here. There's a little bit of a knife and some fruit. basically we have a still life painting right here because it has like flowers and a little pitcher and it has a knife. I mean, it looks like a painting from like the imperial impressionist era or something. And just really lovely. I just love this design so much. I'm really happy to have it. Now over on this side, we have the outside. Now it doesn't look dark like nighttime, so I'm not sure I'm not sure what he was going for here. If he made this black, it would not have been very effective because we would have lost part of her. It would have really changed the whole background. So I think that's why they did this. But there's a moon here. So we have a large moon. And then we have something that looks like maybe clouds. I don't know, some smoke or I don't know what it is. But it kind of fades. So we have this kind of bluish color in the windows and it kind of fades down to nothing here. Below the window here, we have some ornate. Oh, I see. There's a balcony. So there's a balcony outside. So we have the balcony, which you can see through the window. So we have the window panes here that come all the way down. And then we have a concrete colored like balustrade here, which is like like on the outside of your patio, you'd have something like that. Really lovely. Gosh, this is such a lovely design. Now, I'm always saying how much I really love these designs where the artist did the entire page. Every square section of this thing is done 100% with the exception of this line along the top right here, and there's a little piece along the bottom, and there's a little bit of gray, but otherwise it is really a fully developed design. I love these. I wish I had more of these kinds of designs. I wish they made more of these kinds of designs. To me, this is a really top-notch print, and it's a really well done print. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see some more of the details of the gentleman here. But yeah, look at how clean that is. I mean, man, that is just really great. Really, really great example of what they could do with printing. I mean, look at that. That is just so good. This is very small. You know, this little like platter display thing, and it's only like 2 inches across. I mean, look at the details. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, let me zoom back out. Let's take a look at the the back side of this print, and we'll see what kind of bleed through we're going to get. We can already tell, I'm guessing, based on the quality of the front, that the back is also going to be similar quality. Yeah, there it is. So look at that. We can see almost the entire design coming through. Really, really beautiful. Lovely, lovely print. So nice. Let's look and see if there's anything else in this book. But yeah, really lovely design. I'm glad I got to share this with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I still have at least one more print to go over, and I will be putting the paper in here just like I was talking about last time. I'm not going to play around with my prints anymore and just thinking, oh, it looks fine, I'll go ahead and not worry about it. No, I'm not doing that way anymore. From now on, I will absolutely be doing it where I take a piece of paper and I put it in between the book and the print because it's just not worth the risk, and it costs only like 10 cents or less per paper. Even if you buy the high quality HP paper with the pH neutral acid free paper, it's still very inexpensive. Let's see. I don't know when this particular print book was published. Let's take a quick look and see what kind of publication date we're going to get on this bad boy. Let's see. Let's see. Uh, 1898, November 22nd of 1898. Amazing. Totally amazing. Okay. Anyway, I'll put this away for now and I'll deal with this later. I don't want to have you guys hanging around while I'm putting prints away and stuff because that just takes a lot of time that we don't want to spend doing this. I'm sure you guys would rather see more prints. I also would rather look at the prints. Again, I have a lot of stuff I still have to go through, and I just ordered like 20 something more prints. I'll explain later. They're not all amazing. There's a few that are amazing and some that are not amazing, but I'll explain why I purchased them in the future. Okay, this is the next piece, maybe the last one, but I'm not sure. Wow, no clue. I have no idea what this is. Let's open it up together and be surprised. I have no idea when I ordered this. I just know it was in the last year and a half, and I've ordered so many things in that period that I have not opened that I have no idea on the date. These, when you buy something at a place that ships, like, they'll ship you a whole bunch of stuff that you have shipped to them all together at one time. They often put them in these little individual things with little seals on them that identify which thing they're from. But I don't remember anymore, and these aren't dated as far as I can tell. So Well, actually, it does say 25, so this might be from February 25. It's possible. I'm not sure. Here, let's see what the other one said. No, because the other one says 24, and I don't think these go back quite that far. Well, actually, they could. Actually, they could. I shouldn't say that. Anyway, let's take a look at this one and see what we have here. I hope you guys are buying new prints out there. Tell me what you're buying these days. Anybody seeing anything absolutely amazing anywhere? I have not been seeing that many amazing things, honestly. Or let me say, the pieces I've seen that have been amazing have not been either affordable enough for me to purchase, or I have missed them, or both. Okay, I don't have any idea what this is, so let's take a look together. This one doesn't ring any bells with me. So let's see why I bought this book and the print that is enclosed inside of it. Okay, let me zoom out a little here. Okay, let's see what we've got going on here. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, great. Oh, yeah, this is a fantastic print. It is, wow, that's so cool. I forgot about this one. Yes, for once, I actually found a copy of this print that was reasonably affordable. Now, that goes with quotes, reasonably affordable. This print is often, I've seen it up to 1,000. I've seen it listed for several thousand, actually. But anyway, you usually find it with like between $600 and $900. Excuse me. This one isn't in perfect condition, but it's not in bad condition. I think it's pretty acceptable, actually. To me, it is anyway. Okay, so this is a very rare print by Ikeda Shoen. Shoen Ikeda. So Shoen Ikeda did a few. She left behind very few examples. Unfortunately, she was a lovely artist who died at the very young age of 31, I believe. So she had tuberculosis. A lot of people, including artists, died of tuberculosis during this period of Japan's history. There was a lot of tuberculosis going on at this time. Maybe all over Europe and America as well. You know, tuberculosis was worldwide and there was no cure for it. So in any event, unfortunately for us, this lovely woman who did lovely art didn't live a 100% lovely life. She has a very tragic story in a way. She was able to kind of turn it around a little bit, but not 100%. And I do have a lot of feelings for her. She was dealt a lot of blows that were not necessary in her life. Like her, anyway, you should read it. Look up the story of Ikeda Terracotta and Ikeda Shoen. Their husband and wife, but her story and their story is very interesting and definitely worth a read. Okay, so what we have here is a woman who's kind of in this interesting torn off sort of look. And then we have a child here on the ground. Looks like she has it looks like a gold coin maybe or something like that on the floor here. She's, I don't know, tied up with this little cloth here. I'm not sure what this means. Maybe it's a way of keeping children from running away. You tie them to a pole, although having them climb over this thing or fall at the ledge would not be good. So I'm not sure exactly what this is, but we have a beauty here who's really lovely, very much so in the Ikeda Shoen style. You know, where she's here and she's looking down here. It looks like a memory because of this torn edge right here between these two scenes. But we have a lovely woman here, a young beauty, who's looking at this young child. It could be her. It could be a child she's lost. It could be a sister. We don't actually know. I don't know what the story is. But we have a lovely beauty looking at a very lovely made young child here. Now, in the background of the scene, we have like the moon. So we have the moon and the clouds. We have this beautiful trees out here. And then she's on, the child is on some sort of veranda or some sort of deck or something. And then we have the beauty over here. Now, interestingly, we have this pole here, this part of this architecture. We have a pole. That makes me think this is probably some kind of monastery or something because there's these little slips here. You know, there's like little something is written on these little slips that have been mounted here. Somehow that reminds me of monasteries or temples. Now, I'm not sure 100%, but it just reminds me of that. In any event, we have this beauty here. Let's talk about the beauty because she's really the key focal point to the success of this scene. We have a young lady here. We have really well-designed hair. Interestingly, she pops out of the margin. I love that when they do this. So the margin line is here, okay? And you can see part of her kimono comes out of the design. Same with the top. The margin is here, and her hair comes out of the margin. I love that 3D popping effect that this gives. In any event, we have a beautiful woman here who is clearly looking at the child, but it's just really lovely. So she has a beautiful hair design. We have a hair comb here, and then we have a hair pin here. And she has a little something else here as well. So we have several hair, like parts of what makes the hair possible when you put them up in these very designed, like beautiful designs. So the woman's hair is put up with several different ornaments. And then you have her face, which is looking a little bit sad, a little bit forlorn. Really lovely artwork. Shoen Ikeda or Ikeda Shoen. I don't know. When I don't say these names out loud, guys, so I'm really sorry if I'm messing them up all the time. I don't say them out loud. But Shoen Ikeda, she was like such a rare artist. I almost never say her name. So I apologize in that. But we have she's drawn a really, she just was really lovely at doing women. She's one of my favorite artists, but unfortunately she didn't leave that many pieces behind. But anyway, so we have we have a beauty here with a really lovely face. She has a tiny bit of pink on her face. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's just a tiniest bit of blush on her cheeks. A little, not too much here, but here on this side you can see it. Her lips have a tiny bit of pinkish blush also. We have a purple inner kimono here, and then we have a black collar of the outer kimono, and then we have this kind of like not houndstooth, but like a pattern, like a hunting clothes. What do they call it? Like a tartan pattern or a Pendleton, something like that. Anyway, it's really lovely. But the real star here is this. See that shininess in there? This has some really amazing, like, it's not silver actually. It's kind of a bluish sheen on these inner obi. I guess it's the obi. Maybe it's the obi, but it's attached to the obi part of her kimono. And it's just really lovely. Now, I don't know if that would mean something to somebody. Somebody from this time period might understand what having an obi with shiny things on it means. I have no idea what that means, or maybe it doesn't mean anything. But it's really lovely. It really, really changes the whole effect of this piece, having this shiny stuff here. I'm always talking about silver and using too much of it or any kind of metallic. This is really lovely. The color of the metallic, like I said, it's kind of a bluish color. It's very unique. I haven't seen that very much. So really kudos to whoever designed the actual, placement of the inks and so on. Otherwise, we just have this child down here who is really the largest part of the scene. But, those of us collectors aren't really collecting children too much as our main thing. But anyway, I do like this design. There are two designs that Shoen Ikeda made they're in this format. They're also in the same format. The other one is a much preferred design of the two, but this one is still lovely. Like I said, this sells for, I've seen it up to $3,000 shockingly, but I don't know if anyone's actually paying that amount. But in any event, I think it's, probably sells for like, $600 to $800 pretty regularly. This one would probably go a little bit less because it has the corners being a little bit torn here. And there's also a little discoloration down right here. Can you guys see that? I don't know. You can see it from there, but you can see there's a little brownish kind of discoloration right here. A little bit of stuff along the edge right here, but it's really nothing major. In this instance, this might be one of those things that I may trim because it's just blank margin, and I don't think I want to make sure that it's not something that could spread. Like I don't want it to be like I don't know. I don't know if that's even a thing. I don't know if I would trim it or not. But anyway, if someone wanted to buy this and they wanted to frame it, I guess they could trim it. In any event, just a lovely design. Really, really touching. Let's say it's a touching design. It's just nicely moody. Obviously, a woman missing a child. Could be her own self. Could be her sister. Like I said, we don't know. Let's take a look at the back here. Take a look at the bleed through. Yeah, really lovely bleed through. Very common for high quality printing. We can see that there's this discoloration right here. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they got some kind of liquid on this at some point. I don't know. It's minor, and thankfully on the other side it's in this kind of darkish area, so you can barely even tell that it's there. But it is there. So yeah, so I wouldn't charge like the full price that this would go for if I ever sell it, which I don't know if I ever even would sell it. But anyway, yeah, lovely design. I only have a few designs by Shoen Ikeda. and this is one of them, and I'm really happy to have it. Let's see if there's anything else in this book that has any art. Sometimes there's more art in these books, but I don't know. Let's take a look. I would be the luckiest person on earth if it has a second print. If it had that other print by Shoen Ikeda that I was looking for, that would be really great. But yeah, Shoen Ikeda had a very short life, and she had a lot of drama and trauma, and she also had some good things. But yeah, she had some really. Oh, look at that! I've not seen that before. That's interesting. Look, they've somehow managed to put some of the covers of other prints. This is a print by Kaburaki Kiyokata right here. I believe this is the cover of the print that has the Kiyokata with a crab crawling across the floor. I believe that's this one. So I have a copy of that book. I have a copy of this book as well. I don't remember what's inside of it. But yeah, it's interesting. I've never seen them do these little book covers before. This is the first time I've seen that. Can you guys see those? That's pretty cool. Let's see what date this was printed. I think she died in 1917 maybe. She lived from 86 to 96, 06. Yeah, she died in 17. That's right. She was 31 years old and she died in 1917. So she was productive up until she got sick. So but yeah, let's see what year this was. I don't know why I always have to pick Japanese as the language. I'm always doing Japanese, people. Or I don't know why. Usually it doesn't take this long. Maybe my lens is not clear. Hang on. Sometimes if my lens isn't clear, it doesn't take good enough photos. And it does something weird to that. April 12th. Okay, that wasn't helpful. April 12th of what? April 12th, 12? Doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. It just isn't working. I don't know why. Oh, 1902. There you go. 1902. So there you go. This is exactly, well, not exactly, but it's pretty old. 220, no, sorry, 120, sorry about that. 120 something years old. Let me put this away, and this has been a very long video, but I'm going to do one more thing just because why not, right? I got a lot of stuff to go through, and if you guys are still here, then it means you like listening to me talk about prints anyway, so I might as well do another one. Let's do something, here, let's just do something random. No clue what's in here. This has been here since, what is this here? This has been here for a long, long time. Let's see. Sorry, let me try to find the date on this bad boy. This is from April. I received it in August of 25. August of 25. So it's been almost a year. No, it's been almost a year. Sorry, this is the package I'm opening. I'm just trying to do it off screen because it's like a pain, and I haven't taken any of the shipping material, the shipping information out of there. I don't really like to share my home address on these if I can avoid it. Okay, so I do like the way this guy packs. This guy always packs his stuff with this interesting way. He puts this little clear thing here, and then he puts, like, it's just a really nice design. I love the way this guy packs. Anyway, what I typically do with these is I just cut them straight across right here, and I cut them straight across right here in an X pattern, and then I just peel them, and usually it peels out to the sides, and it takes the tape with it, so it allows me to just pull the print out, like so. There we go. I don't know. There could be two or something in here. I don't actually know. So let's take a look together and see what I got. This is going to be a bonus because I wasn't planning on doing this one. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Cool. I do like this. Hopefully you guys will like it too. It's not very colorful. Oh, wow. Actually, that's very thin paper. Okay, this time I am doing I'm going to do a discussion of a preparatory print for Hirazaki Eiho. This is a very lovely design. I mean, not unfortunately. I have 2 copies of this print already, and both of them are in really decent condition. For some weird reason, both of them have a little tiny hole right here. I don't know why. They both have it in the same exact spot, and I did not purchase them together. So I'm not sure what that relates to, but yeah, but they have it anyway. Okay, so we have a preparatory drawing, or not a drawing, a preparatory print of the black line work for a print by Hirazaki Eiho. It's a really, really lovely design. I don't know how many of you have this design in your collection. I know a few people who do have it, but I think it's a really, really lovely design. You have a woman here who is a beauty, who is looking out of sort of a round window. She has some sort of blossoms here, kind of coming across the page there. Really nicely done. And then she's applying some sort of, I think she's applying some sort of lip stuff. Although actually, now that I'm looking at this, it actually looks like she's taken one of these blossoms off and maybe she's smelling it. I don't know. I always thought that she was actually applying lipstick or something. Not lipstick, but some kind of lip, coloring. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Let's take a look. I have the color one right here. Let's take a look at it. I have a picture of it. Let me look it up real fast, and we'll take a look at it together, if it's in here, which it usually is, because Hirazaki Eiho didn't have that many designs. So when people made books about him, they tend to include a lot of them. Let's see. Okay, here it is right here. Here's the design right here. So yeah, so it's a really lovely design. Here we can see, sorry, let me zoom in a little bit. So we can see we have a beauty here. I always thought she was putting on lip coloring, but now that I'm looking at it here, I don't think it's that anymore, actually. But yeah, so we have this lovely round door, like window here. Oh no, maybe it's a mirror. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what it is, actually. But we have a round. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, well, no, her arm comes through, so it's not a mirror. Okay, so it's a window, and she's kind of looking out at this blossom tree. Anyway, it's just kind of a cool design. I bought a few of these from a dealer, and I got one by Kaburaki Kyokata, and then I got a few others, so I probably have a few more in here that are waiting to be looked at as well. This is one of them, but here we can see the fine details that are printed in these preparatory prints. Look at the fine line work on that hair. That's just incredible. Wow, that is just so nice. That is not an easy thing to do. Look at how tiny that is. Yeah, I mean, look at those hairs. Look at the eyes. The richness of the cutting on this carving is just insane. Just so tight. All the money, all the energy, everything that's like matters is put right into this little square right here. The rest of the stuff is a lot looser down here. But man, the energy they put into doing the hair and the eyes and just, the mouth and all that is just incredible. Look at how much energy they put into the head of this beauty. Wow. I mean, this stuff here is just crazy how tight those lines are. Wow. Amazing. Truly amazing. Look at that. The face is beautiful. Anyway, this was just a bonus one. I'm not going to talk about it too long. There's not that much to talk about in a black and white print, clearly. But it is lovely. It does have Eiho's signature, which is nice. Sometimes you get these preparatory prints and there's no signature. But we have a signature. This paper is very thin, by the way. This is extremely thin paper. So we can see through it really easily because it's just, if I put it on this, you guys, it'll be gone because it's just so thin. Some of the other prints I have that are preparatory, well, I only have one or two. One is very thin and one is done on regular paper. But this is quite a large design. That's what I was going to say. Compared to other Kuchi-e, it's actually quite big. Here, let me see. I'll pull one out so we can see it comparatively. Now, it is going to be trimmed, of course, but I don't know. That's a lot of trimming. I don't know if they would be trimmed this much. Here, let me pull out another design by Kyokata, and we'll take a look. Yeah, I mean, look at how different the size is on this design. So if we line this up right here in the corner, now this Kyokata we're doing here is a little bit trimmed, but geesh, this is a huge difference in sizing, right? The Eiho piece, it goes all the way to here. Like it's much, much larger. It also goes out to the side here. I mean, that's a really huge difference. It's almost Ibon in size. It's quite large. That's very interesting. Now maybe they made them larger and they cut them down because maybe they wouldn't know, which book it was going to go into, and whether or not it would need to be trimmed a lot. Like that might have happened. Although we can see in this one in the book that actually, you know what? Let's take a look at that. It's not really trimmed that much, actually. Wow, that's incredible. Wow, it's a really large piece. I'll have to take a look. Unfortunately, I don't have the two copies I have here right at this moment, so I don't have any way to really compare them. But I'm curious about that because this is quite large. It is beautiful, though. I'm glad I have it. It's nice to have. Have different parts of the printing process. Look, in my experience in the last 16 years, 17 years almost, I have not had a lot of experience to see these with Kuchi-e. Now, I've seen a lot of them with ukiyo-e, and not even that many with Shinhanga. Shinhanga also didn't have that many of these. But in Kuchi-e, they're actually rare. I would say they're very uncommon. Now, there are some out there on eBay and other platforms right now that you could go buy. But I will say this, they are very rare. So don't assume, hey, I see them on eBay and they're always available. No, that's not the truth. Those ones on eBay and a few other places where I've seen these, they have not been easily available. So yeah, if you see some and you like it, I wouldn't delay too much because it's not going to be around forever. And when they go, there may not be others coming. So they're really uncommon in my experience. Anyway, I'm glad I got to share this with you guys. Hey, if you haven't subscribed, a lot of people who watch my videos have not subscribed. I would appreciate it if you could subscribe. I know it doesn't really cost you anything to subscribe, but it does a lot for us. It gives us motivation to keep making things. It helps us feel like we're appreciated. And, it's a kind of a thankless business. I'm not making money out of this. I do this because I love doing it, and I like sharing the things I love with others, including yourselves. And, I really love you guys, and I'm happy you're here to see what I'm doing and be somewhat entertained, hopefully, by the prints that I show. But I would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe just to let me know that you appreciate what I'm doing. And I do plan on making videos more often. This is going to be proof of that because I just made a video 3 weeks ago, and my wife had COVID in between. So because she had COVID, it's kind of delayed me a little bit. Anyway, thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you have a great day and a great week, and I'll see you in my next video.